Welcome back. We are here with our partner, Mike from L&B Healthy Pet Markets. Mike, how are you doing today, man?
Good. How are you, Easton?
I'm doing amazing. It is so awesome to chat with you once again. We always have such amazing uh, conversations. So you became a partner alongside Mark almost 4 years ago for L&B. How did this opportunity uh, kind of come about for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the store's in Montclair, New Jersey, and I had grown up near that area, not in Montclair. But my father actually has an accounting office in Montclair, and he lived in West Orange. So we spent a lot of time. West Orange is, for those who don't know, just right next to Montclair. So I spent a lot of time in that area, so I kind of knew the area growing up. And right next door to my father's accounting office, there was a pet store. And they sold healthy pet food. And they opened and they were there for about a year. And unfortunately, it didn't go too well. They were ready to close and shut their doors after a year of being in business. So I kind of just from being in the area and venturing into the store and having an interest in the health nutrition space as well as a love for animals, I had developed a little bit of a friendship with one of the two owners, Mark, as you mentioned. So Mark and I kind of became friends. And when Mark and his business partner sort of split and went their separate ways, Mark and I kind of Mark was going to close the store, and I kind of came in and said, "Hey, let's give this one more shot. Let's, maybe we could make this happen," which was about 4 years ago. And so we continued together. Put more into marketing and social media and brand awareness and education of all the foods we sell and the brands we carry and buying in deals and anything we could do to make this thing work. We did it, and it ended up working, and we're super lucky, super fortunate that it started to grow. And since then, actually, Mark has retired or stepped away from the business in the past year. And so I've kind of taken over on my own and have continued this journey by myself. And I owe Mark everything. He's awesome. We're still great friends. We still keep in touch, but it was time for him to sort of move on. And now I'm in this space and, trying to continue to grow the store and spread awareness in the healthy pet food industry. And that's sort of how it came about and how it developed. And I love every second of it. It's my passion. And when I was in college, I was going to school for something totally different, nothing to do with this. And life is funny. You just don't know where or how things are going to end up sometimes. And I ended up stumbling upon something that really has become a passion of mine.
That's crazy. So it kind of just fell in your lap, and I think life works in very funny ways that way. Is this something that you've wanted to do for a while, like get into the pet industry, or was this kind of just a random opportunity?
It was really, I would say, more so a random opportunity. I mean, it's interesting how you don't know your path, and a lot of people spend time worrying about what am I going to do and what's going to happen, and whether you're younger and you're in school and you're nervous about the future, or you're in a job and you don't know how things are going to play out. The truth is, you really just don't know, but it always somehow finds a way to work itself out. And that was sort of my experience. I was going to Rutgers University here in New Jersey, and I didn't really know where that path was going to take me. I was graduating right around March of 2020, so things were very weird with COVID and all of that. And so I just I didn't know what was going to happen, and then this opportunity came up, and I kind of just started off like, hey, let me explore this. Maybe there could be something here. It seems interesting. I grew up wanting to be a business owner, entrepreneur type of mindset. That whole thing I felt like was in me, and it was an opportunity to do that. So I was like, okay, here's a chance to possibly own my own business, and so it was sort of random. It did kind of just come out of the blue, and I was lucky enough to be able to take advantage of the opportunity and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the amazing part because someone else could have saw that same opportunity and been like, "Oh, this is too much for me," or "I'm not interested." So, I mean, the fact that you were like, "Let's explore this. Let's partner with this person and let's take advantage of this opportunity that I've been presented." And you also mentioned that you guys have healthier products. Um, why would someone want to go shop at your guys' place versus, let's say, like a Petco?
Right. So this is where we really get into like how we try to differentiate ourselves and what products we offer and all of that. So we really are, I could use the word like a niche market, or sometimes I describe it as like the Whole Foods of pet stores, something like that. Because we do try to focus in on the healthier brands that are out there. So like whether it's raw food or frozen, freshly cooked food, freeze dried, or even different brands of kibble that are focused on better sourcing, better ingredients, more natural. And these are brands that just aren't sold in Petco and PetSmart because they don't want to be associated with that. They don't like what those big box stores are about. So obviously you'll go to a Petco or a PetSmart and you'll get your big name brands like your Purina and Blue Buffalo and Pedigree and those Royal Canine, those types of brands. Um, if you compare the ingredients, it's unreal. There is no comparison. I mean, you're looking at certain bags of food in Petco that the first ingredient is chicken byproduct, or gluten, meal, soy, something like some ridiculous nonsense that doesn't make any sense. So we try to stick with brands that the first ingredient is chicken, and then a vegetable, and then a fruit, and so on. So yeah, that's really our focus, and that's what differentiates us. If it's single ingredient treats versus a box of treats that could have 50 ingredients listed on it, we want to carry the brands that are single ingredient. They're smaller companies. They do things the right way. It's better sourced, and it will make a difference in your pet's life. I wasn't necessarily, as we talked about, I didn't have a background in this, so I was skeptical. And then I saw the results, and I'm just like, I mean, it makes sense, of course. Humans, if you eat healthier, you eat better food, you eat more natural ingredients, organic, better sourcing, you feel better. And we saw it make such a difference in these dogs and cats' lives.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the crazy thing is once you start to really look at what is in these foods, what am I feeding my pets? You're like, what have I been doing to them my entire life? And as you mentioned, you said that you were also into health and fitness for your own life. Did this bleed a lot into your passion of trying to make like other people's pets healthier?
Yeah, well, I think I definitely saw the overlap because I was always into I mean, that's what I went to school for, and health and wellness, and physical fitness, exercise science, that whole thing. And I saw the crossover into pets, and I've always been an animal lover, so I was like, huh, that's interesting. Like, why not carry over what we want to do as humans for ourselves into the pet world? So and when you see the difference it makes in their lives, it really opens your eyes. I mean, I have customers every single day that come in with allergy issues, skin and coat problems, digestion issues, um, arthritis, hip and joint pain. I mean, these are just common issues that come up. And I'll tell you, like 95% of the time, it's the food that they're eating. And, everyone's like, oh, it's seasonal allergy, or what's causing this, or, genetics or something like that. 95% of the time, it's the food. And it's amazing because when you switch the food within a week, you see the difference. And, the amount of lives we feel like we've changed, or it's why we're passionate about what we do.
That's amazing. And do you think, or why do you think they're so lackadaisical about the ingredients that they're putting into the food?
Well, I think, and there's a great documentary if anyone gets a chance on Amazon Prime. It's called Pet Fooled, and I think it really speaks to the whole industry, and it's become such a just a money making sort of uh, just giant multi-billion dollar industry is what it is, and it just comes down to profit, and that's why the food that are in these giant commercial sort of companies isn't as healthy as these other smaller brands because they're trying to make more money. So obviously, corn is cheaper than straight beef, and a dog doesn't need corn. A dog needs meat. So you look at like just different grains and starches that go into the food. It's filler, and it's so that the food could be cheaper to make, and when they sell it they could make more money, and that's really what it comes down to, unfortunately. And again, there's the crossover into us humans where you see these big brands that do the exact same thing, whether it's like Nestle or some of the other big brands like Palmolive. These huge brands, or Coke or Pepsi, they also own the pet food companies that I'm talking about. So they're
That's
doing it
wild.
in human food and they're doing it in pet food. They all own the major pet food companies. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it seems like ju- just like you said, their entire goal is just money and just keeping the pets and the humans on the medication, like on the allergy pills, all that stuff that you mentioned. And the fact that you guys are able to cure it or fix it in a week, in 2 weeks, just by changing their diet is insane. That's crazy. And you also made a video about how Prina had a veterinarian diet plan, and they came out and it was found out that they had too much vitamin D
Mhm.
in the plan and that it was deadly for dogs. Why do you think this information is coming out now and like being like surfaced to the population?
Yeah, I think more and more people are waking up to this. So I think it's a product of just the time, and what is being uncovered and what we're learning, and more information coming out. But yeah, it's scary when you then get into the veterinarian side of things. Um, I think there's a lot of great vets out there. I'm not knocking vets, but I think the way vets are trained are always to go to the medication and the pills and drugs and steroid shots and that sort of thing. So I would just urge people to consider other options first. I'm not saying your vet is wrong. I'm not saying they don't know what they're talking about. But try the holistic approach. Try changing the food. Use raw goat's milk. I've seen it work miracles. I've seen it shrink tumors on dogs. Like, it's incredible. Try CBD or something for anxiety before you go to Benadryl. Just give it a try. I'm not saying don't do what your vet says. It's just try this first, because maybe you don't need the steroid shots for the allergies. Maybe your dog just has a chicken allergy and you need to get them off chicken. Again, maybe you don't need the Benadryl and the drugs for anxiety or calming. Maybe you could use something a lot more natural. So there's a lot out there, and I think more and more people are becoming educated about what's out there.
Yeah, and it's super exciting to see like when people start to wake up to what they're feeding not only themselves but their pets. And you guys through this approach have obviously been insanely successful, um especially through a local brick and mortar uh business. If you were talking to someone and they wanted to start their own local brick and mortar business, what would some tips or advice be to them for just starting out?
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I would say make sure you're passionate. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because like any business owner knows, it's no joke. I mean, you're working 7 days, you're working long hours, so you better be passionate about what you're doing, and you better be in it for the long run. So I would say that's a good start. Make sure you're in the right area for your type of business. Make sure it fits. Because if it's brick and mortar, obviously you're going to be in a specific town or a city or a neighborhood. Definitely make sure, do your market research. I would say make sure you don't have a lot of competitors nearby. Make sure that you have the customer base that will be interested in your product or your service. Make sure it makes sense for where you're located. And honestly, funds and money comes down to, that a lot of issues that I think brick and mortars face, because you have your rent and you have payroll, and a lot of unforeseen issues come up in terms of, we didn't realize construction was going to cost this amount. We didn't realize how expensive the insurance or the utilities would be. So I would say just make sure you're extra safe and prepared from a financial perspective before you dive into something.
And you guys also post a lot on social media. You do a lot of personal videos, which I love to see from a local standpoint. Um, how important do you think getting on social media, sharing videos around the owner, like, and their business from a local perspective is? Like, how important, like, is that to grow?
Yeah, it's everything, and I've learned this throughout this journey, because we weren't always doing the best we can, and we're probably still not. But I think if you're a small brick and mortar type of local business, you need to connect with the businesses around you. So you really have to take advantage of the opportunity of a close knit community where people are willing to shop small, check out the town's local businesses, and then you work with them. And I think it's important to understand that it doesn't have to be a business that is necessarily tied to you. I mean, it's great if we do a collaboration with a local vet or a groomer or something, but it doesn't have to be in that same industry. I mean, you could do, like, you should always work with your local coffee shop.
I
Everyone
love that.
walks into the local coffee shop. Leave some fly. See if you can put a flyer on their window, or leave some, cards on their desk. Do a social media collaboration, tag one another, that sort of thing, because their following is not your following, but their customers might be interested in whatever you're doing. So just to use us as an example, obviously there's people that go to the local coffee shop and own dogs. So why not work with them? So I think it's an opportunity to really grow your brand if you can put a face to your brand. I think that's why we've started doing a lot of the social media videos, because I think if you can develop that family feel, it's important, especially for brick and mortar. Seeing people's faces, making them feel comfortable, and then that circles back to what we mentioned earlier with differentiating ourselves between the Petcos of the world. They're not doing that. So you're a familiar face. You're a warm, comfortable feel of someone they know. They could come to us because we know them. We know their dog's name. We know their dog's issues or their cat's issues. And we know the food that they started feeding their cat. So we know to ask, how's it going? And is this issue still happening? And all of that stuff. So we just did a pictures with Santa event
Yes, I
last
saw
week.
that.
So it's the personal feel and the relationship building. I think that is super important, and you could really, as a small brick and mortar type of business, you could take advantage of that, because you will have that over the big box stores any day of the week. I mean, Target, Walmart, they're not doing that, obviously. So that's something that you have to take advantage of.
And I think people can genuinely tell that you care, like that you care about them. And then when they can tie that face, like you said, to the brand, they're like, wow, I feel like I know Mike. I feel like I know this guy, and I know that he's going to care about my pets, and that gets them in the door. And then like obviously like your skills, and then they can tell that you care even more when they're in the store.
Yeah.
And you were obviously insanely comfortable on camera. uh, what inspired you to kind of first start the content creation journey to get to that point?
Sure. Yeah, I think I was just pushed by what I saw other people doing. I don't know. You're being very kind. I don't always feel that comfortable on camera, but I think it's important that you push through it and you do it anyway. Because I think you need to. It needs to be done. It's important for the business. It's important for social media and your brand awareness. And yeah, I saw what other businesses were doing that were successful, and other influencers and entrepreneurs out there that I followed and took advice from. And I thought, hey, we gotta start doing this. This is the way to go. And I don't think I'll also put into that. I don't think you should just go outside. I think it's important to go outside your comfort zone. I don't think you should force things that aren't meant to be either. Just because you see someone else doing something, I don't think that means you have to do it. I think you should do what feels right to you. But in this case, I just felt like this is what needs to be done. This is the next step. This is just like owning a pet store was the next step. Going on social media and putting our brand out there was the next step.
And if you had a business owner that was super excited about posting content and wanted to make that leap, but he was nervous or maybe a little scared to post that first video, what would one piece of advice to be to him?
Right. So in that situation, you know your next step because you know what you want to do, you know what feels right, but fear is stopping you, right? So what I would do in that situation is number one, just take a deep breath, try to let go of some of that. You're holding on to it. So, just it's not that big a deal. You gotta relax and just understand that what we're doing here is very minor in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you put a video out there, let's be honest, as much as all of this social media stuff is super important, no one is analyzing it the way you think they are, or the way you're analyzing it. So I would say it's one of those things where you just do it. This is the time to step outside the comfort zone. And I went through the exact same process, and then I realized, wait, this really isn't that bad. I'm thinking in my head that it's a lot worse. Meanwhile, everyone else thinks it's really great. And no one's really analyzing it like I would be. So yeah, I think it's overcoming that little bit of anxiety, or that little bit of fear. But when you do, you realize it was very much worth it, and it was only you holding you back. Honestly, it's it's a you thing. And there's so much out there that, again, it's a big world, and it's not something that people are gonna hold on to and remember. I mean, when was the last time you walked down the street thinking, I can't believe that guy posted that on social media, he looks so silly in that pet store? And I mean, if you've never done it about someone else, chances are they're not going to do it about you. So
And the crazy thing is, j- just like you said, like everyone else is like, Easton or Mike, your videos are so awesome. They're great. Like they're praising it. They're like, how can he get on camera? This is amazing. And you're like, I said this word wrong. And you're like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like the
right.
people like around you are thinking you're amazing for getting on camera. And I think like that's super important. And you have a quote on your Instagram bio, which I love it. It says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Could you kind of dive deeper into why you decided to put that exact quote on your bio?
Yeah, sure. So I got that from a book. Of course, I'm blanking on the name of the book right now, but um, it's just something that I've tried to really live by. I'm into personal growth. I'm into you could call it spiritual growth, or you could call it personal growth. I think it's all the same thing. But I believe so. So in that direction, I'm very into surrender and allowing things to play out the way they're supposed to, and seeing life's path. And so, yes, I believe that when you have a passion, you should go in the direction of that passion, because life or the universe is going to lay it out for you, and you could walk that path, and it will play out in a way that you might not always expect. Maybe the end result won't be the exact end result that you thought from the beginning, but there's always a way, and you have more help on your side than I think you even realize. So you just kind of have to walk the path, and it will develop in front of you. And that's sort of how I try to live. Let go of the fear, let go of the anxiety, and just sort of trust the process, trust the unfolding. That's sort of how I see that quote. Sort of trust the unfolding of what's meant to be.
I love that. That's amazing. Uh, I have two more questions. One, if you could have dinner with two people, one from the past and one from the present, who would you have dinner with?
Ooh, man. That's a good one. I actually, this crossed my mind recently, because I've heard the question before, but all right. So past and current. That's a good one. Okay, I'm gonna go current first, because this is a little bit easier, and this is gonna be a sort of sound like a fan pick, but I'm gonna go with Tom Brady as current. But there's more layers to it than just being a Patriots fan. I want to know what drove him. I want to know, how he stayed so competitive and worked so hard all those years. And I want to know how things are going now when you have that sort of life. Because a lot of us do this where we build, I'll use the word ego, but I don't want to point fingers. You sort of build this persona, we could say, and then that persona's gone, and what's left. So I'd be curious to know how he's handling things now that that sort of structure of this mental persona of this god of a person is sort of gone. What are you left with? And that's the danger of, I'm going off on a spiritual growth rant, but that's sort of the danger of building that mental structure, of that mental persona of, this is how things need to be, and this is the type of person I want to be seen as, and worried about other people's opinions and all of that. Because when that gets taken away, which it can in an instant, you get sick, you lose your house, someone dies, God forbid, what are you left with? So I want to know sort of how he's handling things now. As far as past, wow, that's a tough one. I don't know if I could give you a name. It would probably have to be like some sort of historical figure. I mean,
First one that comes to mind.
First one that comes to mind, or I guess it's going to be in the spiritual world, and hopefully, I'm not trying to turn people off, but
No, you're good.
some sort of like either like Buddha or like Jesus, someone like that. And I'm not a super Catholic religious guy. I see these figures as just really advanced in terms of spiritual growth. So I'd want to talk to like a figure like that, like Lao Tzu or like Buddha or Jesus, I would say.
I like that. And one more question. Why did you decide to partner with us and offer discounts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what you guys are doing is really awesome. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us business owners to kind of work together and help one another, and that's what it's about. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need to tear someone else down in order to build yourself up. There's always plenty of abundance for everyone, and I think this was an opportunity to work together and collaborate and see how other business owners operate and help each other to grow. And I'm happy to offer the discount because it makes sense for both parties, and it's a big part of business. You have to be able to give a little to get a ton more back, I'm sure. And it's awesome to work with you guys, and I'm looking forward to the collaboration.
Thank you for the kind words as well. I love that. And so is there anything that you would like to add for us ending here? And how can people get a hold of you and your pet shop?
Sure, sure. So I'll say before I add anything at the end, I'll just say you could visit us on our website and shop online and look at all the products we offer. It's lbhealthypetmarkets.com. And we have a bunch of products on there. We just built a new site, and we're continuing to add more to it each day. You could always reach me via email, lbhealthypetmarkets@gmail.com, or you could message us through the website. You could DM us on Instagram. I'm the one behind the scenes. So if you DM us or if you email us, you'll be reaching out directly to me. And to end, I'll just add that if you're in a situation where you're thinking of starting a business or you're not sure what your next step is, don't let fear stop you. Look for an opportunity when it comes up, go after it. Also, don't, I would say, in the same token, I like to also talk about the opposite end of things. Don't stress that you have to do something right now. Like, I need to start a business. I need to make more money so I could be rich and I could have a bigger house. And don't do that either. That's not overcoming a fear. That's just that's sort of creating a fear. That's living out of fear because you're afraid that you don't have enough or something. So if something's stopping you and you really want to do it, yes, push through and overcome that fear. But don't be afraid to be patient and see what opportunities are available. There might not be something right now, but maybe in 3 months from now, the perfect situation is about to come up, and you don't want to miss that.
That's awesome. That is some um, amazing wisdom. I love it. So, Mike, thank you so much. This is an amazing conversation. I loved all of it. You dropped some gems. And like, just thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Easton. Look forward to talking again soon.